So let's look at some of the people freaking out. This is Ellie Kohanim. She's the former U.S. Deputy Special Envoy to combat anti-Semitism. We all know
she worked under Mike Pompeo.
Yeah.
To attack Palestine solidarity activism.
Yeah, that's what that job entails. So here she is. So there's a photo of 9/11. The World Trade Center on fire. Never forget, early voting begins today. Vote Andrew Cuomo. So, what? Like, Mamdani is responsible for 9/11, and there'll be another one if he is elected. And I thought Matt Lieb had a funny joke. He's a comedian, host the podcast Bad Hasbara with my brother, and he said this. I know you meant this to be racist against Mamdani, but this mostly reads like, vote Cuomo or else we'll do another 9/11.
Well, that's not a joke. I mean, that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll make that point later. I think, let's go through some of these takes.
Matt Walsh.
Yeah. The guy who could never exist without a beard. Like, if he shaved his beard, it would be like his whole image would be discredited.
So he shares some video of Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani's father, talking about the roots of the U.S., the colonial roots of the U.S.
Well, let's play that clip.
The clip, okay.
America is the genesis of what we call settler colonialism, and the American model was exported all around the world. Abraham Lincoln generalized the solution of reservations. They herded American Indians into separate territories. For the Nazis, this was the inspiration. Hitler realized two things. One, that genocide was doable. It is possible to do genocide. That's what Hitler realized. Second thing Hitler realized is that you don't have to have a common citizenship. You can differentiate between people. The Nuremberg laws were patterned after American laws. Anyway, the US put Indians in reservations. The US invented the model.
So what's wrong about that? It sounds exact. Anyway, so Matt Walsh goes ahead and says, in response to this clip, the entire Mamdani family should be expelled from the country. Ungrateful, anti-American parasites have no right to be here.
He's like, you're saying America inspired Nazism? Well, I'm an American Nazi. That's my response.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And if I shaved my beard, everyone would mock me even more than they currently do. But are we supposed to deny the Holocaust of American Indians? Is that what we have to do because it's critical race theory to talk about that taking place when America was in a straightforward settler colonial phase? I mean, what is wrong with what he said? And Adolf Hitler actually was personally interested in and inspired by stories of the American West and of the expulsion of Native Americans that were translated into German and were illustrated stories. As a young man, he was really captivated by these stories of the American West. This is well documented. The reservation system came into being under Lincoln. He was not the biggest fan of it, but it took place for sure. He had the first Native American chief of the Bureau of Indian Affairs and was more, I would say, progressive than most presidents of his time on the issue, but he still oversaw brutal oppression of Native Americans. That is obviously a sort of a tableau for Israeli settler colonialism. I don't know, I didn't see the whole address, but I mean, Hitler was also inspired by what Germany did in Namibia through its colonial project. But yeah, the US, that happened. So according to Matt Walsh, if your father presents critical, accurate history of the United States during the 19th century, your entire family should be deported. And this is their, again, this is the script. This is their campaign against Mamdani.
Yeah. And what is Matt Walsh's brand? It's mocking people, who are identitarian, who are triggered. He's all about mocking cancel culture, right? That's a big part of his whole brand. He's made documentaries about that, mocking the excesses of, the left in some ways. But here he is calling for someone to be deported because he doesn't like their accurate rendering of U.S. history. It's another example of these right-wing snowflakes who mock left-wing people, but exhibiting behavior that far surpasses any excesses that they make fun of.
Yeah, he did that film, What is a Woman, where he would ask like gender studies professors, what is a woman, and they couldn't answer the question.
Yeah, and he make fun of them for being triggered, right? And for, but here he is triggered by Zohran Mamdani's father talking accurately about settler colonialism.
What is the First Amendment?
Should we go to Maria this one? It reads like a parody. This one is just unbelievable. She's a former New York Senate candidate. This is what she said. Every time I hear Mamdani's anti-Semitic base shouting tax the rich, what I really think they're saying is tax the Jews. They're obsessed with bashing Israel. They're obsessed with bashing Israel and wealthy Jewish New Yorkers like Bill Ackman. Connect the dots. Governor Kathy Hochul going along with this is repulsive. Having Jewish Bernie Sanders there for cover redefines the phrase useful idiots. The whole thing gives me the creeps. Vote Andrew Cuomo. Let's send the message that hate has no place in New York City. I mean, look, I don't know how influential she is. So maybe we're really punching down here, but like, it's just so it's kind of like Mark Levin complaining that every time he hears people calling out the neocons, he really means that they really mean the Jews. And this is a similar thing. Tax the rich means tax the Jews.
During the financial crash, I remember seeing complaints that, if you talk too much about Goldman Sachs, you're actually being anti-Semitic. I mean, it's Goldman and Sachs. Those are Jewish names. And calling it like a vampire squid fish on the face of humanity is anti-Semitic. So fight hate, don't criticize the rich, fight anti-Semitism. Bill Ackman is Jews. All Jews are Bill Ackman. That's what she's saying. And what is Bill Ackman saying? I mean, he's had some incredible takes. Bill Ackman, by the way, is at the center of this. Like, I really can't ignore the fact that so many of the influencers I see with cheap takes on Mamdani and stunts and interviewing people in the streets in New York were at the Hamptons Influencer Summit that Bill Ackman hosted with the late Charlie Kirk back in early August. And they were already workshopping a potential Mamdani victory and how they were going to deal with it. And so much of this is being run through Andrew Cuomo's personal social media accounts as well. He's pumping this out. So Bill Ackman's at the center of this. And he's presented an interesting binary here.
Argentina rejects socialism while New York City embraces it. The world is upside down. Let's stop it in New York City before it's too late. So what is he referring to? The fact that President Milei in Argentina, his party just made some gains in parliamentary elections, but that was after Trump basically told Argentina, if you don't vote for Milei, you're going to suffer and we're not going to give you a bailout. And
straight up foreign election interference. And what is Milei if not one of the worst political failures of the 21st century, who's just like sent the peso crashing to the ground, imposed austerity policies that are supposed to, destroy the government beast and usher in free markets, which wound up causing massive unemployment, protests, hunger. And requiring a $40 million bailout. At least $20 billion is coming from the U.S. taxpayer. And who's being bailed out? It's not the Argentine people. It's the bondholders. Bill Ackman's billionaire buddies like Rob Citron, who's friends with Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, who holds so much of Argentina's bonds. We're paying a bunch of billionaires and paying to keep Milei in power as U.S. taxpayers. Is that what MAGA was about? Is this America first? Is this libertarianism? Are these the libertarian principles? Javier Milei's entire economic policy, his whole monetary policy, has depended on U.S. dollars artificially propping up the Argentine peso, in complete contravention of his entire explicitly stated chainsaw-oriented economic philosophy, which opposes foreign economic intervention. And he's just relying on his financial feeding tube to the U.S. So, this is what Bill Ackman is presenting as the alternative to the socialist hell of New York City, which doesn't require any bailouts, and which actually the New York taxpayers are actually subsidizing the red states, which are always in the red.
And if you look at Mamdani's policies, they're pretty modest. He wants to have like one government subsidized grocery store in like every borough, which is like, a pretty modest venture. And also he wants to have subsidized buses for people who can't afford to take the bus. I mean, like this
Free
idea.
buses. I mean, they almost did that in DC without any controversy. I mean, it's not really going to do much, but he's pushing affordability because it's impossible to live in Manhattan unless you're Bill Ackman and you have a $53 million penthouse apartment.
Exactly. And that's why they hate him, is because he speaks to that. He actually talks about working people and trying to make this a city that can be affordable for them to live in. And the Bill Ackmans of the world can't stand that. It's not just about Israel. I mean, yes, they despise the fact that he sees Palestinians as equal human beings, and he won't kiss the ring to Israel. And they're infuriated by that. And they're infuriated that speaks to now most of the voters who are also fed up with Israel. And it's no longer the days of Jesse Jackson when, like Jesse Jackson was caught off mic calling New York Hymietown, and he had to spend, the rest of his political career basically apologizing for that. He never lived that down.
Yeah.
It's no longer Hymietown, and that's it's a wonderful thing. And we're going to have a Muslim mayor of Hymietown. It's great to see. It's exciting. And that's why but this goes way beyond Israel.
There was when Harold Washington ran for mayor of Chicago as running to be the first black mayor, there were buttons distributed that Jews in Chicago would wear. I mean, Israel wasn't an issue then, but it wasn't like he wasn't making it an issue, but they said Hymies for Harold. They should have Hymies for Zohran buttons, because a lot of Jews are supporting him, because most Jews don't vote on Israel. It's the loudest, richest, slimiest, most satanic ones who do the Bill Ackmans.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who have the megaphone that are paying the 7K cartel $7,000 a post for these trashy influencer posts that get ratioed left and right. They're the ones filling up the internet with Hasbara, but it doesn't mean that they're the ones who are going to dictate the Jewish vote. Sorry. You don't control New York anymore.
Here's one $7,000 per post influencer, Allie Beth Stuckey. I asked my 840,000 Instagram followers, mostly Christian women, what their biggest concern is for the country right now. And by far the most common answer is the growing influence of Islam. I'd like to see this concern reflected in the Republican Party ASAP. Yeah.
Well, they're doing that. They're reflecting this kitchen table concern that really relates to the issues that I hear on Main Street USA when I go out there. And I mean, I only talk to taxi drivers like Thomas Friedman, so I wouldn't know. Actually, if I did and I just talked to Uber drivers, I'd hear that everything is unaffordable. Yeah. What most Americans care about right now is food prices through the roof. If you go to some restaurants in the DC area, they hit you with a 5% surcharge because food for restaurants is so expensive that they have to sneak it in at the end. And then when you complain, they'll point you to the fine print. Nothing's affordable right now.
Yeah.
And that's why Americans want to talk about Islam.
And meanwhile, SNAP benefits, meanwhile, for millions of people are running out because of the government shutdown and because of Trump's cuts to the program. So in the coming weeks, unless the government shutdown is resolved, millions of people are not going to get their SNAP benefits, which is what people rely on to survive. And meanwhile, we're shoveling money out the door to bail out Argentina on top of all the money given to Israel and all the money now devoted to a regime change project.
The deficit is through the roof.
Yeah.
It's a completely artificially propped up economy. A billionaire, Timothy Mellon, billionaire to the Mellon oil fortune, is contributing $150 million to pay for troops, to pay for the military during the shutdown, which is a backdoor bribe to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who contributed to Trump and RFK's campaigns. So the whole plutocracy is plain for everyone to see right now. And that's why we need to talk about Islam. It's the ultimate diversion.